Now here what we have is a very simple leaf drawing. So I'm going to just show with the basic graphite pencils how we can bring this leaf to life just by using some basic graphite pencils. So I'm going to begin with 6B and just create a base for it. So I'm going to hold my 6B here and go very lightly. On the entire leaf. Basically right now I will just try and maintain the basic shape of the leaf, and right now not even so much of this concern that whether there are white spaces or anything, because right now I just want to have the effect of little bit of base color of 6B on my leaf, avoiding the center line of course. Now once I have made the shading, I have shaded the entire leaf. You can either use a tissue paper or a paper. Generally I prefer my index finger because finger texture gives kind of the best texture as it with the friction getting created on the paper. So I'm just gonna blend this entire, basically smudge this entire 6B on it. And while smudging it, I will maintain the shape of the leaf. That means I'll keep going in the curvy direction. And it gives me a very light base. Once this is done, I'm going to continue with 6B. Now with my 6B, near the center line, I'm just going to create a little bit of dark effect. And we have to create this effect through the center line. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. We have to make sure that on both the sides the curve goes as per the curve of the leaf. And as we move towards the tip of the leaf, my line kind of becomes smaller like the strokes and more straight. Now with 6B itself, just gonna create the inside lines. You can first finish one side and then move to the second side. I'm currently going on both the sides together. It is totally on the choice of the person, and the one who's coloring and shading. Generally at the time of practicing, people prefer first completing the first side. So that can be done so that the other side can be played with the light and shadow. Now before blending anything, I'm going to take my 10B and bring the dark effect very close to the center line. Remember, generally on this very close to the center line, we do often have a dark effect, because that's the place where the leaf generally starts curving, and that also enhances the center line, makes it more and more prominent. Once this part is done, then there are few places where generally the leaf will be shining because of the light, and few places where the green appears to be dark. The shiny places can either be because of the light's presence, or it can be because of the leaf being very yellow or light greenish over there. Of course, depending on the kind of leaf that we are coloring. The areas which, or the parts of the leaf which is going to be dark, those are the parts that I'm right now making it with 10B and giving that dark effect. At this point, the entire leaf will be looking very patchy because there has been no blending or no smudging, and 10B kind of stands very dark on top of the base of 6B because the 6B base has been smudged completely. The important thing to notice over here is the way the pencil has been held. What I mean by that is, it means with a very tight pressure on the pencil hole or a light pressure, because if we make it very tight, if you're going to hold the pencil very much like this, then I kind of restrict the movement of the pencil, and that will by default make a dark impression. So that may give a very dark effect right at the beginning, which may create difficulty at the time of smudging and blending. Now I am shading this keeping in mind one particular leaf where I am I basically know that where the dark effects were, where the light wasn't falling, and which parts were having very light yellow and light green kind of effect. So based on that, I'm adding 10B. As I remember clearly, this part was pretty dark. So now I bring the hold on my pencil very close, and I'm going to give that dark effect here. Now I'm going to smudge this again, and this time instead of smudging the entire thing at one go, I'm just going to smudge part by part, trying that it should not go outside of the leaf, but if it goes, it is erasable, as what will spread out will be the dust of the graphite, which can be erased comfortably. The reason we are smudging now is because we don't want to have a line effect, so that the smudging is done, as I was saying, because we do not want prominent effects of the line. Rather, we want the lines to be part of the leaf. Now this part, this being a very thin and a small part, I would use the side of my finger, and again I'll come from here, knowing that this is dark, to first create the dark effect here. maintaining the shape of the leaf. And moving slowly on it. Not applying too much of pressure on the paper. Trying to be gentle with soft movements and blending the lines. Once that is done, we move back to the 10B. And now we create the textural effect. Now instead of making a line like this, we are just gonna go in this direction. This is called broken line effect. It also creates a natural looking effect on the object that is being worked upon. This is the time when we have to be slow and try to create the texture of the object, and over here the object being the leaf. Creating the curvy effect at the edges. If you feel any portion is becoming dark where it should not have, you can always blend it. Do not erase anything at this point. We are going to just blend it. And creating the same curvy edges on this side also. Keeping in mind that leaf is a natural object, so the natural effect should be kept intact. Now we'll move on to the center part. For that, I'm going to use my 6B again and just very lightly go all over the center line. And just smudge it. You can use tissue paper, or you can use earbud, or if you want you can also try with a normal paper. Now I've taken 10B again, creating a little texture on this. Before we move to the last step. Now this part over here, you have to be very slow and just be very steady with your hand and make this uneven edge into a smooth edge. We're going to move to the last step, which is removing of color or the shade from few places. But I'm going to use eraser. Now, why I'm saying removing and not erasing? Because erasing is like literally completely erasing it from there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove few effects of the dark shade and going to make it little light. I'm just using the regular eraser. So now this is how I'm going to remove the color. I'm not going to go like this. I'm just going to go in one direction. And the direction has to be the direction of the object, meaning the shape of the object. Because everything at the end will define the shape and form of the object. Because if the form and the shape that the object is actually supposed to have and that is attained at the end, which means the coloring and the shading, the erasing, the dabbing and all the techniques used have been used in the correct manner. I'll also do the same thing a little bit in this and create a highlight. There it is, the basic leaf. Simple and basic leaf. Now, if there are any parts where while smudging the shade would have come out, we clean that. That is what we call giving it a proper finishing touch after adding all the textures. And once that is done, the erasing part, please remember, do not move the dust of the eraser in this way, because if our fingers go, the entire graphite is gonna spread. So simply blow it away from your paper. That's it. Thank you.